Hello everybody and welcome back to a new video. Thank you so much for being here. So for today, as you can probably already tell by this very unstable stack of books, I want to do a book haul. These are all books that I acquired in the last 2 or 3 months, give or take, and I don't think I've actually ever done a proper book haul here on the channel, so I thought it might be fun. Some of these books I already read, which I'm very proud of myself. Some of these are still on my priority TBR for the foreseeable months to come. So with that in mind, let's begin with my most recent purchase, the entirety of the ACOTAR series by Miss Sarah J. Maas. So this is the only series from Sarah J. Maas that I didn't read yet. I started my SJM reading with Crescent City. Everyone told me to either start with Throne of Glass or ACOTAR, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that. So I started with Crescent City, and I think Crescent City is my guilty pleasure series from Sarah J. Maas. I can acknowledge the fact that specifically the third book is not good, but I still had a lot of fun, and it is what it is at this point. And I very much enjoy that series a lot. If we're talking about the books objectively, they are pretty rough to get through. But I wanted to finally read the ACOTAR series because there are some events in Crescent City that are tying in to some things that are happening in ACOTAR. And even though the relation and the lore between the world of the ACOTAR series and the world of Crescent City is explained in one of the books from Crescent City, I believe it is Crescent City 3, House of Flame and Shadows, I still wanted to have the full background from the ACOTAR series as to everything that's happened so far in this world of Prythian, and also to learn more about the Dread Trove, because that plot point is very heavily influencing some events from Crescent City. I already know a ton of spoilers for the ACOTAR series, so it's going to be an interesting read, to say the least. I'm planning on doing reading vlogs for all of these 5 books in the ACOTAR series. I already filmed my reading vlog for the first book, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I am currently in the middle. Actually, I just started filming the second vlog for the A Court of Mist and Fury. After I finished the entirety of the ACOTAR series, I want to do a Crescent City reread eventually, just to see how my opinions change, knowing and having the full background of the things that are happening in ACOTAR. The next book that I want to show you is Hot Wax by M.L. Rio. This is M.L. Rio's newest release. I think it was published this month or last month, I'm not entirely sure. And I did already start reading this one. I think I stopped at the 50 pages mark or something like that. I still have my bookmark here. So I read exactly 50 pages from this one. And I kind of decided to soft DNF it for the moment, just because I don't really feel like reading this book right in this moment. I don't know why. It's not fantasy, so that might also be it. I feel like I'm reading more and more fantasy recently, and I've always been a fan of fantasy primarily, but I feel like I'm fluctuating with my reading moods throughout the months, either if I'm craving fantasy or literary fiction or mystery thriller, stuff like that. Yeah, I just don't feel like reading this right now, but it is written very well. I would expect nothing less from M.L. Rio, and I am sure I will be continuing with this one sometime in the future, but just not right now. The next book that I already read, and I have a full-on reading vlog for this one on the channel already. This is Katabasis or Katabasis by R.F. Kuang. I will start talking about this book with a disclaimer that I absolutely loved R.F. Kuang's 2 other books that I read, Yellowface and Babel. And I think out of the 2, Babel would be my favorite from R.F. Kuang from the books that I've read so far. I also want to read the Poppy War trilogy eventually. I just don't think it's gonna happen in the near future, at least not this year. But Katabasis is pretty much this dark academia story about a student who is going to hell to save their professor's soul in order to get a recommendation letter. And what's really weird, first of all, with the marketing of this book, if you look here at the top of the cover, it says "To Hell with Love," which would imply that it is a romance, or at least a dark academia romance, right? Which is not really the case for this book. The romantic subplot is very faint, like in the background, and it's not that important for the overarching things that are happening in the book, right? So I did have kind of like my issues with this book. I don't think the characters are compelling enough. There are a lot of people that are saying that this book reads as a textbook, which I don't agree with. It is true that there are a lot of theoretical things that have to be explained in order for the things that are happening in this book to make sense, but they are explained in a very simple way. So I don't agree with those allegations that this would read like a textbook or that it's too difficult to be read. Yeah, this book didn't really work for me. It wasn't really what I expected and what I wanted. Maybe I should have just waited for it to be like on sale to read it on my Kindle and not spend all this money on this first edition with sprayed edges, just because I didn't really like the story that much. Not to say it's a bad book, it was just not really for me. And yeah, this is Katabasis by R.F. Huang. Next up, I have a duology. I have the books in the wrong way. So this is The Night Ends with Fire and The Dragon Wakes with Thunder. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, The Dragon Wakes with Thunder by K.X. Sung. I have already read these two books. Both of them have these gorgeous sprayed edges and also some designs underneath the dust jacket. But what I really appreciated about the first one, at least, is that this is a Hua Mulan retelling, like the legend of Mulan, not the Disney movie or anything like that. So it has like a darker undertone to it that stays pretty close to the source material, or at least one of the variations of the legend of Hua Mulan. And I enjoyed every second of it. Was it predictable? Yes, because as I said, it stays pretty close to the legend of Mulan. But I liked the writing. I liked the main character and her struggles, because in this book, in the first one, our main character, instead of being motivated by that filial duty towards her father to go to war instead of him because he's sick, the dad of our main character in this book is addicted to opium, and he is very cruel towards his family. Our main character is going to war from this sense of greed because she wants to be free. She doesn't want to marry. She doesn't want to depend on men for her pretty much freedom. So she wants to go to war to experience this sense of traveling and freedom, and to feel like she's doing something important with her life. She discovers that she can communicate with this long lost spirit of a dragon. And in the first book, even though it is alluded to the fact that this dragon might have his ulterior motives for helping our main character, it is not that well explained why that is. But those things are all explained in the second book, which is this one, the blue one. And I think out of the two, like the first one, very close to the Mulan story, and I enjoyed it a lot. But the second one, it's truly where this story shines, in my opinion, because it introduces some new concepts. The first part of the second book is very much a political intrigue, and you are learning all of these like court machinations that are happening in this kingdom, and I just love that thing. So yeah, I really liked this duology, even though this is very YA and you don't have a lot of characters, or you don't have like a lot of things that are happening. I think the characters that we have are portrayed well, and the things that are happening are very well structured and very well written, so you're not confused or anything like that. I love this one, and I don't see like a lot of people talking about it. I think it's very underrated. I guess I also should be showing you the gorgeous design of these books. So On the actual hardcover here, it says "Never Trust a Dragon." We have gorgeous sprayed edges, and they also extend to the top and bottom of the book. And also we have this very cool pattern on the end papers. So this is the first one. Okay, and for the second one, this one has like an off-white beige kind of color for the actual hardcover. It says the dragon does not act alone, and it is in this teal, almost metallic foiling. The sprayed edges, and then the design on the end papers. Moving along to another book that I already read and absolutely love. This is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. First of all, let's just appreciate this gorgeous UK edition of this book. First of all, the cover, absolutely stunning. It has this gold foiling on the spine and also on the front cover, and then the sprayed edges, absolutely love. And then also the actual hardcover itself is this very dark blue, and it has this quote on the front of it with gold foiling. And then the actual end papers, I have to admit that this is not exactly how I pictured the characters, but nonetheless, I really like the artwork on the end papers. I think it looks really, really cool, and it just fits the overall aesthetic of this book, I think. I read this book actually on my Kindle because I just couldn't wait for the physical copy to arrive, and then after I finished it, the physical hard copy arrived as well. Now let's talk about the actual book. So if you don't know, Rebecca Ross has two duologies. I'm not that familiar with A River Enchanted. I think it's the first book in one of her first duologies, but this specific book is somewhat part of the Letters of Enchantment duology that starts with Divine Rivals and continues with Ruthless Vows. I'm sure you've heard about it if you are in this sphere of like online book discourse and stuff like that, because it was really, really popular a couple of years ago. And I read that duology, absolutely loved it. I loved how loose the fantasy elements were, yet how impactful the story felt through the lens of these characters, Iris and Roman. And this book serves as a prequel for that series or for that duology, and we get to learn more about the gods that are governing the world of the Letters of Enchantment duology. This book truly feels like a Greek mythology retelling in how it is written. Rebecca Ross has this very flowery yet purposeful writing style that I adored in the Divine Rivals duology, and this book is no exception. If you liked Circe or any other Greek mythology retelling like the Song of Achilles, even though that one was not my favorite, but it is resembling in the writing style at least to that one as well. So yeah, the writing style in this one really, really resembles Greek mythology retellings, but obviously not with real gods from Greek mythology, but with the gods from the Letters of Enchantment duology. In this book specifically, we are following Matilda, who is some sort of messenger of the gods. She is raised in the underworld. They are called underlings because they're living beneath the earth, these gods. But only her mom is an underling. Her dad is a skyward, meaning the gods that are living up in the sky. And she's kind of trapped in between these two worlds. It is very emotional. And we get to see a lot of her struggles with her heritage and the fact that she kind of falls in love with this mortal guy who requested her help, and expect to cry expect to cry. That's all I'm gonna say. The only thing that I didn't really like about this book is how slow the things were in the first half of the book. It is true that in the second part of the book, the story really picks up and you start to see all the connections and everything. And you also get to meet some of the gods that we later meet in the Divine Rivals books. So this is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. Loved this one. Really good writing. Now, moving along to books that I haven't read yet. So, the first one is A Forgery of Faith by Elizabeth Lim. This looks absolutely gorgeous. It also has these golden foiled edges, and I think it also has something underneath the dust jacket. Yeah, it's an illustration of a dragon. Why I bought this book is because I was watching one of Carrie Can Read's videos, and she was talking about this book that the majority of it takes place underwater, and you have all of these dragons that are water dragons. And I found that concept really cool. Let me actually read you the blurb of this book because I'm not quite sure what's the premise of this. So it says, it takes a skilled liar to paint the monstrous truth. Trian Saigas didn't choose to become a con artist, but after her father is lost at sea, it's up to her to support her mother and two younger sisters. A gifted art forger, True has the unique ability to paint the future, but even such magic is not enough to put her family back together again or stave off the gangsters demanding payment in blood for her mom's gambling debts. Left with few options, True agrees to a marriage contract with the mysterious Dragon Lord. He offers a fresh start for her mother and sisters and elusive answers about her father's disappearance, but in exchange she must join him in his desolate undersea palace and paint the future so treasonous it could upend both the mortal and immortal realms. It sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty darn good, and I am excited to read this one very soon, I hope. Next up, I have Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I have it in this stunning edition from Puffin. I believe it's the publishing house, or it might be an imprint of something. Yeah, so it is from Penguin Random House, and the imprint is called Puffin Books. This is one of those cloth-bound editions, and it looks absolutely gorgeous with this gold foiling. If you watch the channel, you know that in August I did read 3 novels by the Bronte sisters. I read Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and I also read 2 novels by Anne Bronte, Agnes Grey, and The Tenant of Wilfeld Hall. And obviously I wanted to read the 3rd Bronte sister as well, and I picked up Wuthering Heights from Emily Bronte. I got really invested into the Bronte sisters because I read in one of the introductions for their other books that Anne Bronte died of consumption, and later on I found out that all 3 of them died of consumption or tuberculosis. And because of that, recently I read a book on tuberculosis by John Green called Everything is Tuberculosis. But I will talk more about that in the September reading wrap-up video. Next up, I picked up a book that I've seen in bookstores for like a really long time. It's been years, I believe. This is Anatomy by Dana Schwartz. And this is supposed to be like a gothic love story between a girl who wants to become a surgeon in the 1800s and a guy who I'm pretty sure is a surgeon. Let me read you what it says on the back of the book. So it says, Hazel Sennett is a lady who wants to be a surgeon more than she wants to marry. Jack Kerr is a resurrection man who's just trying to survive in a city where it's too easy to die. Despite being thrown out of Dr. Beckham or Beacom, something like that, lectures, Hazel is determined not to compromise on her ambitions. But without official lessons, Hazel will need more than just her books. She'll need corpses to study. Lucky that she's just made the acquaintance of someone who digs them up for a living. Unfortunately, Jack has his own problems. Dangerous men are sulking around the cemeteries, his friends are disappearing off the streets, and the city slums are plagued with mysterious illness. Nobody seems to care until Hazel. With so much on the line, Hazel and Jack must work together to uncover the secrets buried beyond the unmarked graves in the very heart of Edinburgh society. Sounds really good. Sounds really, really good. I know this also has a sequel, but I managed to not buy that one. So I will actually read this one first, see if I like it, and if I want to continue, and if so, I will buy the sequel as well. And last but not least, I picked up The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. I know that this author has this other book that's very popular, and I've heard a lot of good things about the Vampires of El Norte. I did not read that book, but considering that this is a new release from this author, I thought it's like a good time to experience the writing of this author, so I picked this one up. I don't know that much about it, but when I've seen like one of those confessions from Olivia Blake on the front of this book, I knew I had to pick it up. So Olivia Blake says, chilling and tender, bloody and sensuous, Cañas is working at the highest of her prodigious powers. With a sentence like that from Olivia Blake, I think I will love this one. Ooh, and on the back of the book, praise from Roshani Chakshi that wrote, God, I'm so bad with names recently, wrote The Lost Tale of the Flower Bride. I was obsessed with that book when I read it. So Roshani Chakshi says, gorgeous and gory, no one writes Gothic like Isabel Cañas. Terrifically terrifying, richly imagined, impossibly sensual, and as luminous as a quicksilver that spills across its pages. Let's see if I recognize someone else. Nope. Okay, so let me read you the blurb of this book. So it says, when a demonic presence awakens deep in a Mexican silver mine, the young woman it seizes must turn to the one man she shouldn't trust. In 1765, plague sweeps through Zacatecas. Alba flees with her wealthy merchant parents and fiancé Carlos to his family's isolated mine for refuge. But safety proves fleeting as other dangers soon bare their teeth. Alba begins suffering from strange hallucinations, sleepwalking, and violent convulsions. She senses something cold lurking beneath her skin, something angry, something wrong. Elias, haunted by a troubled past, came to the New World to make his fortune and escape his family's legacy of greed. Alba, as his cousin's betrothed, is none of his business, which is of course why he can't help but notice the growing tension between them every time she enters the room, and why he notices her deteriorate when the demon's thirst for blood gets stronger. In the fight for her life, Alba and Elias become entangled with the occult, the church, long-kept secrets, and each other, not knowing that one of these things will spell their doom. Color me intrigued. I think this is a read for the later months of autumn, but nonetheless, excited to get to this one soon-ish. And with that, this is pretty much the ending of today's video. Ever since I don't hold my mic in my hand, I don't know what to do with my hands when I am not like holding a book or anything else. But yeah, let me know if you read any of these books, or if you borrowed a book recently from the library or purchased a book recently that you're excited to read. I would like to know that. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in a new video here on the channel. Bye everyone.